The sun was sinking low behind the rust-red hills of western Arizona when the roar of Harley engines broke the stillness of the small desert road. The pavement shimmered with heat, the kind that made the air itself waver. Dust swirled around as 5 bikers in worn leather jackets thundered down the road, their patches reading, Iron Wolves MC. They looked rough, tattooed, scruffy, the kind of men people avoided at gas stations. But looks, as the world often proved, could be deceiving. Leading the group was Hunter Briggs, a man in his early 40s with graying stubble, dark sunglasses, and a heavy silence about him. Once a soldier, now a wanderer, he rode not for thrill but to keep his mind from going still. Life hadn't been kind to him in years, and kindness wasn't something he expected to find anywhere anymore. As the group slowed down near a tiny roadside town, more of a few cracked buildings and a diner, they spotted something unusual at the edge of the road. A little girl stood beside a rusted bicycle that looked far too big for her small frame. The chain hung loose, the tires were half flat, and the handlebars wobbled when she tried to hold it steady. Her jeans were torn at the knees, her faded pink t-shirt smeared with dust. But what caught Hunter's eye was her face, thin, pale, with lips dry from the heat and eyes far too old for her age. "Sir, would you like to buy my bike?" she called out as the motorcycles came to a stop, her small voice trembling yet determined. Hunter frowned, pulling off his sunglasses. "What did you say, kid?" The girl swallowed, her hands tightening around the bike handles. "Please, sir. Would you buy my bike? I can't ride it anymore. Mommy hasn't eaten in 2 days." The group went quiet. The engines died one by one until the desert fell silent again. Dust settled on their boots as they exchanged uneasy glances. Jessie, the youngest of the bunch with a soft spot for kids, stepped forward first. "You selling your bike to feed your mom, sweetheart?" She nodded, tears threatening but not falling. "She said we'll be okay, but she doesn't eat her part. She gives it to me. She's getting weaker." Hunter's jaw clenched. He'd seen hunger before, in war zones, refugee camps, and even his own childhood, but it never stopped hurting. He crouched down so he could look the girl in the eyes. "What's your name?" "Lila," she whispered. "Lila Carter." "Where do you live, Lila?" She pointed toward a narrow dirt road that led into a cluster of rundown trailers half hidden by dry brush. "Down there. Number 5. But the lights don't work no more." Hunter looked over his shoulder at his crew. They all knew what he was thinking but didn't say a word. The Iron Wolves had a rough reputation, brawlers, outlaws once, but they'd learned to live by their own code, protect the weak, no matter what. Hunter took a slow breath. "How much you asking for your bike?" Lila hesitated, glancing down at her scuffed shoes. "Maybe $10. It's old. Daddy got it before he went away." That last sentence hit hard. Hunter saw the way her lip quivered when she mentioned her dad. Something inside him, something buried under layers of dust and scars, started to stir. He stood up, pulled his worn wallet from his vest, and handed her a $100 bill. "Keep your bike, kid. Take this to your mom." Lila's eyes went wide, trembling as she held the bill like it was treasure. I can't take that much." "Sure you can," Hunter said softly. "Go on now. Take care of your mom." She hesitated, then suddenly wrapped her tiny arms around his leg in gratitude before running off down the road, clutching the money to her chest. The men stood there in silence for a long moment. Jessie muttered, "Poor kid, the world shouldn't do that to someone so small." Hunter's eyes followed her until she disappeared into the dusty horizon. Something about her didn't sit right with him, the desperation in her eyes, the way she said her daddy went away. He'd seen enough people lose everything to know when there was more to the story. "Let's go see where she lives," he finally said. Ryder, the oldest of the group, raised an eyebrow. "You sure, boss? Ain't our business." Hunter turned to him with that hard, quiet look that ended most arguments. She made it our business. They followed the dirt trail to a half-collapsed trailer park. Rusted cars, shattered windows, and scattered trash painted the picture of a forgotten corner of the world. When they reached number 5, the sight made their hearts twist. The trailer door hung crooked on one hinge. The curtains inside were ripped, and the roof sagged. Hunter knocked gently. After a long pause, the door creaked open, revealing a frail woman in her early 30s. Her hair was matted, her eyes hollow but kind. She looked startled to see 5 bikers standing outside her door. "Ma'am," Hunter said quietly, removing his sunglasses again. "We met your daughter on the road. She said you haven't eaten in a while." The woman's lips trembled. "Oh. Lila. She didn't ask you for money, did she?" Hunter nodded slowly. "She tried to sell her bike. Said you haven't eaten in 2 days." Tears filled the woman's eyes as she shook her head. "I told her not to worry about me. I didn't know she'd go that far." Jesse stepped forward and handed her a small paper bag from his saddlebag. "Here, ma'am. Got some food from the diner back up the road. Sandwiches, chips, a few bottles of water." She stared at the bag like it was gold. Thank you so much." Inside the trailer, Hunter saw the truth of their situation. The place was stripped bare, no power, no running water, no fridge. A thin mattress lay on the floor beside a single blanket. There was no sign of any man living there, and the way Lila's mother's eyes darted to the window every few seconds told him she was afraid of something, or someone. "Where's your husband, ma'am?" Hunter asked carefully. Her expression darkened. "He's gone." "Gone how?" She hesitated, clutching the edge of the door. "He used to work at the sawmill until it closed. Then, things got bad. He started drinking. He owed some men money. One night, they came here and, they took everything. The TV, the fridge, even my wedding ring. They said if he didn't pay, they'd take more next time. He ran off the next day. We haven't seen him since." Ryder's fists tightened. What kind of lowlife takes from a family like this? Hunter's voice was low but edged with steel. The kind that needs reminding what it means to mess with the wrong people. The woman looked frightened. "Please, I don't want any more trouble. We just want to be left alone." Hunter nodded slowly. "I understand, ma'am. But no one should be afraid to live in their own home." Lila came back then, clutching the $100 bill and smiling proudly. "Mommy, look. The nice man gave me this so you can eat." Her mother's tears finally fell. "Oh, baby," she hugged Lila tight, whispering thank you over and over. Hunter turned away, jaw tight. He'd seen enough. This wasn't just bad luck, this was cruelty. And the men who did this needed to be found. Back outside, the crew gathered near their bikes. Jesse kicked a rock, muttering, "We can't just ride off, man. Not after that." Hunter nodded. "We're not riding off. But we're not storming in blind either. Someone around here knows who's been bleeding this town dry." Ryder smirked. "So what's the plan, boss?" Hunter swung a leg over his Harley, the engine growling to life beneath him. "We're gonna find out who took everything from that woman, and make sure they never do it again." As the engines roared back to life, the setting sun cast long shadows across the desert. Lila watched them ride away, her tiny hand waving from the doorway. She didn't know who those men were or what they planned to do, but something in her heart told her that maybe, just maybe, things were about to change. The iron wolves rode toward town as darkness fell, the wind whipping at their jackets. The neon lights of a small bar flickered ahead, the only place open for miles. Inside, Hunter knew they'd find answers, or at least the kind of people who might have them. When they parked outside the bar, Jesse glanced at Hunter. "You really think whoever hurt that family is still around here?" Hunter's voice was calm, steady. People like that don't travel far. They like power. And they like watching their victims stay afraid. As they stepped through the bar doors, the smell of stale beer and smoke hit them. A jukebox played an old country tune, and half a dozen rough-looking men sat at the counter, laughing too loud. Hunter's eyes scanned the room. He'd been in 100 places like this, each one a mirror of broken dreams and small-town hunger. But tonight, he wasn't here to drink. He was here for justice. At the far end of the bar, a man with a scar across his cheek and a snake tattoo down his neck looked up, smirking when he saw the bikers. "Well, look who wandered in," he said, voice dripping with sarcasm. "Iron wolves, huh? Ain't seen you boys around here before." Hunter approached slowly, his gaze never breaking. "We're not here for trouble," he said evenly. "Just looking for a few answers." The man chuckled darkly. "Answers cost money, friend." Hunter leaned closer, his tone low. "Not the kind I'm asking." The man's smirk faded. The room went quiet. Somewhere outside, a coyote howled into the desert night. Hunter didn't blink. "You and your friends been taking from folks down by the trailer park." The man froze for a moment, then laughed, too loud, too forced. "Maybe. Maybe not. What's it to you?" Hunter's knuckles flexed once, slow and deliberate. "It's about a little girl who tried to sell her bike to feed her mom. That was the last straw." The laughter died. Chairs scraped the floor. The air thickened. Jesse muttered under his breath, "Here we go." Hunter took a deep breath, eyes still locked on the man with the snake tattoo. "You took everything from them. Now you're gonna tell me where the rest of their things are, or I promise you, you'll wish you never set foot in this town." The bar went still, every eye fixed on them. The man's smirk vanished. And as the desert wind rattled the windows, Hunter Briggs and the Iron Wolf stood ready to deliver justice the only way they knew how. The air in the bar felt charged, heavy with tension. The man with the snake tattoo leaned back in his chair, trying to hide the flicker of fear in his eyes. "You don't know what you're getting into," he sneered. "This town belongs to us." Hunter's voice stayed calm, even. "Not anymore." Before the man could move, Ryder stepped closer, his massive hand gripping the edge of the bar. "You the one who robbed that family on Route 9? Took their things while the kid was sleeping in the next room?" The man's jaw clenched. He tried to bluff, to look fearless. "You think you're some kind of hero? You don't know how things work around here." Hunter gave a slight nod, and before the man could blink, Jesse slammed his palm on the counter. The impact rattled the empty glasses, silencing the entire bar. "We're not here to talk about how things work," Jesse said through gritted teeth. "We're here to fix what you broke." The bartender, an older man with weary eyes, watched from the corner. "You boys should be careful," he muttered quietly. "Those fellas run everything around here. Sheriff doesn't lift a finger. They take from whoever can't fight back." Hunter turned to him. "Not tonight." He looked back at the man with the snake tattoo. "You and your crew took everything from a woman and her daughter. You've got one chance to do the right thing. Where's their stuff?" The man smirked, trying to act tough again, but Hunter saw his hand trembling on the bar. "Fine," he said at last. "You wanna know? Go check the old storage lot behind the mill. That's where we keep donations." Hunter's eyes narrowed. He could tell the man was daring him to go there, setting a trap. But that didn't matter. He turned to his crew. "Let's go." As they stepped out into the desert night, the wind had picked up, carrying sand across the road. The moon was bright, painting silver streaks on their bikes as the engines roared to life once more. They followed the directions to the abandoned sawmill, an eerie skeleton of rusted metal and collapsed roofs. A faint light flickered inside one of the storage units. Hunter motioned for everyone to kill their engines. The silence was broken only by the creaking of the wind through broken windows. Inside, they found boxes, piles of furniture, old TVs, kids' toys, and appliances stacked like trophies. It wasn't just from Lila's home. These men had been stealing from half the town. Ryder cursed under his breath. Monsters. Hunter walked slowly through the piles until he spotted something that made his chest tighten, a small pink backpack with a faded unicorn design. Lila's name was stitched on the tag. "This is it," he said softly. They weren't lying. But before they could take another step, headlights cut through the darkness outside. Several trucks rolled in, engines rumbling. "Looks like they brought friends," Jesse muttered. Hunter glanced at him, calm as ever. "Then let's show them what happens when they pick on people who can't fight back." The gang stepped out from the shadows just as the truck stopped. A dozen rough-looking men spilled out, armed with bats, pipes, and cheap bravado. The snake-tattooed man climbed down from the lead truck, sneering. "Should have stayed out of it, boys. You just signed your own death warrants." Hunter cracked his neck. "You first." The desert exploded into chaos. Fists, boots, and metal clashed under the pale moonlight. Ryder took down two men with a single swing. Jesse dodged a bat and landed a punch so hard the man dropped where he stood. The fight was quick and brutal, the kind only men who'd seen too much could survive. Hunter moved with precision, every strike controlled. He wasn't fighting for pride. He was fighting for Lila. For her mother. For every soul crushed by men like these. Within minutes, it was over. The gang lay scattered across the ground, groaning and defeated. Hunter grabbed the snake-tattooed man by the collar and pulled him up close. "You're gonna load every stolen thing back where it belongs. Every last piece. And if I hear you touch another soul in this town, I'll come back. You understand me?" The man nodded frantically. "Why yeah. Yeah, I swear." "Good," Hunter said, releasing him. "Now disappear." By dawn, the Iron Wolves had returned everything they could to the people of the trailer park. When Lila and her mother woke up, they found their few belongings back in place, their old lamp, a chair, even the cracked mirror that once hung by the door. Lila ran outside barefoot when she saw the bikes parked nearby. "You came back," she shouted, running straight to Hunter. He smiled faintly, crouching down again. "Told you we'd take care of things, didn't I?" She nodded eagerly. "Mommy says you're angels." Hunter's chest tightened, but he shook his head. "Nah. Just people who remember what it's like to be hungry." Her mother came to the doorway, tears in her eyes. "I don't know how to thank you. We didn't think anyone cared anymore." Hunter placed a hand on his heart. "Just promise me one thing, don't give up. The world still has good people in it. You just have to hold on long enough to meet them." She smiled through her tears. "You were ours." As the Iron Wolves prepared to leave, Lila handed Hunter something small, a red bracelet made from bits of string. "I made this," she said shyly. "For luck." Hunter took it, slipping it onto his wrist. "I'll keep it with me. Always." They rode off as the sun rose, the sky bursting with gold and orange. Behind them, Lila waved until they disappeared into the horizon. For the first time in years, Hunter felt something he hadn't known he still could, peace. They couldn't fix the whole world, but for one small girl and her mother, they'd made it right. As the desert wind rushed past him, he glanced at the bracelet on his wrist and smiled. And somewhere behind them, in that quiet corner of Arizona, a little girl whispered to her mother, "Mommy, I told you someone would help us." Her mother hugged her tightly. "Yes, baby. Someone always will."